Hello and welcome to this week's episode. This is episode number 16 of Healthy TV, and I'm really appreciative of those of you checking in online live with me. I am super excited. Every week I really look forward to this time, 7 p.m. on Thursday evenings. And what's great about it is when it's live, you can actually interact, so I can see comments coming through. And so at any point, if you have any questions or if you have any comments, perhaps I may pose a question and you can answer live. And that just gives me some feedback, and also that I can interact with you in real time. I'm not the best at that, so I'll let you know if it's if I seem distracted. That may be why I'm reading the notices coming up. But I'm going to try it this week. This whole show is really all based around sharing simple tips and strategies to help make your life even healthier, help make you and your family even healthier. And it's interesting this week, in the wake of Halloween. I think I've heard from families in the practice about just how much they're struggling with just dealing with the aftermath of Halloween and all the candy in the house, and not just for themselves, because it's when it's around, it's easy for them to eat. But I would argue even more important is for their kids and how much sugar they're taking in. And so last week I actually went through a great strategy to help eliminate that problem. I had some great feedback. So if you go back and watch that episode, you can just find it in our video section on Facebook. And there you'll actually, you can watch through, and I give a great strategy that my parents used to help eliminate the challenges, what I call Halloween headaches. And there's actually been some great commentary, some people sharing their own experiences and how to reduce or eliminate the amount of candy that their kids are eating. So I'd love for you to go and interact with that. Let me know what you think. And that actually fits well. I wanted to just introduce, we're in a new month now, so it's the 11th month of the year, and every month we run a challenge through our practice, the wellness group out in Canada. And this month is actually all focused around eliminating sweets from your diet. So it's strategically placed in November, knowing that Halloween has just occurred, and it's a great way to provide some third-party accountability for you and for your family. And so I'd love for you to jump on board. That's no sweets for the entire month of November. And this is a tough one, I know, but your body will absolutely thank you. We know that there's a tremendous amount of detrimental effects from consumption of sugar, particularly refined sugars, and believe it or not, your body's really not that well placed. It's not very capable of handling large amounts of sugar, and so it has a serious impact on your physiology. Perhaps a topic for another day, but let us know if you're going to jump in on us with that challenge. I'd love to see some names pop up. So just post below and say, yeah, I'm in for the November challenge, no sweets. Now today what I wanted to talk about, because it's this whole month we're going to be featuring nutrition topics, and I thought it'd be really interesting, well, I hope it's interesting, that I share some of my own story, because it's quite unique, and I've titled it Confessions of a Former Vegetarian. And it's true, actually. I was born and raised vegetarian, vegan for a while, even a raw foodist for a time. And that gives me a really kind of interesting perspective when it comes to some of the nutritional challenges that I see people faced with in the practice day in, day out, and just what I hear online. And so, I thought it would be really perhaps a bit instructive. I tried to tease out some of the main kind of learning points that I gained from this experience, because really now, from some people's perspective, some of my old friends and family, they kind of see it as I've made this big 180. Now I'm, as I put in the subheadline there, is champion of the. I went from outspoken or lifelong vegetarian to champion of the meat parade. And so I thought I would outline some of the principles that, some of the information that I was faced with that really pushed me to make this major change in my lifestyle. Because I won't deny the fact that I was a fairly outspoken vegetarian, having grown up in that environment. It was really all I knew, and because my parents are one of the best things that I've learned from them is they are lifelong learners, and so they were constantly exposing themselves to new information, and in particular around health was their major focus. That's no surprise. Fruit doesn't fall far from the tree, and I have really adopted a lot of their passion for uncovering truths, the kind of underlying truths around health. And so I was exposed to a lot of information at a young age, probably stuff that certainly none of my friends were getting exposed to. And a lot of it was surrounding the negative consequences of eating animal products, and really all the the benefits that come from eating fruits and vegetables. And so I'll jump in on a couple of key things that I learned along the way. Now, just a couple of caveats, because I'm sure that there'll be some vegetarians listening to this show. I'm getting a couple of thousand views per week now, and so just statistically, I know there'll be at least 40 or 50 vegetarians listening. And I want you to, first of all, to know that the whole purpose of this show is not to deride or insult you in any way, insult your intelligence. I know for a long time I likely shared all this, all or many of the same beliefs that you currently hold, and it really, I would not have been convinced by just watching one simple video on Facebook. So I don't expect you to agree with everything I say. I certainly do hope that you're open enough to listen, and perhaps if they challenge some of your current beliefs, understand that I will not say anything that is not founded in the best available evidence. And so hopefully it'll push you to move and do some more learning on your own. I think probably the biggest thing I learned as a vegetarian, so even before I made the big switch, is that food quality is the most important context. And so really it comes at whether you're eating omnivorous, so you're eating like animals and plants, or if you're just eating like a plant food diet. Ultimately it's the quality of the food that has it plays the biggest role really when it comes to your health. And something I noticed as I was making this transition, I was being exposed to lots and lots of new information, was that I kept getting this I guess challenged because some of my beliefs were being proven to be false. And what really hit me was this I think a really important concept for any of us, even outside of this conversation, just generally in life, is that we don't know what we don't know. Now, just let that sink in for a moment. There's lots of things we know that we don't know, but there's also a much more, I would say, dangerous realm of knowledge, which is the stuff that we're not even aware that we don't know. And I realized as I was allowing myself to get exposed to some of the facts around nutrition that I really was holding a lot of dogmatic beliefs. And those dogmatic beliefs were, based on other people's opinions, other people's interpretation of research, and I was just accepting them at face value without actually going through on my own and rereading and challenging those beliefs to make sure that they're true. And so I was really falling prey to this, this concept that I really just didn't know what I didn't know. And as I started to learn more and understand more about how the human body works, and what are the requirements to be healthy, that's when I really started to, be faced with the reality that, wow, there was a lot I didn't know. And it seems to be the case that the more I learn, the more I realize that there's so much I just don't know. And so I really try, that experience has really led me to be as non-dogmatic as possible. And so it's impossible to remove bias, but I really hope that everything that I hold as beliefs now are based on facts of reality. And when it comes to nutrition, in fact, I'll say when it comes to vegetarianism, there's actually multiple reasons why people choose to be vegetarian. And so I'm not going to focus, there's actually, if we say 4 main reasons, there's the ethical reasons, there's environmental reasons, there's political reasons, and then there's nutritional or health reasons. I'm actually going to not discuss the first 3 right now. I'm happy to talk about those in a future episode, but they're all big topics. Today, I just wanted to focus in on the ones that are the most important for me, and that's the health reasons or nutritional reasons why I would argue vegetarianism is not the best approach, and why I think incorporating animal products is a essential part of a healthy diet. And some of the I think the most telling evidence that I came across, and it really, these came out of the myths that I was buying into. One of the key myths was that, our evolution, we evolved from, apes and chimps, and that, they're all vegetarian, as we can observe in nature. And so, therefore, we are, as a species, we are also designed to be vegetarian. Okay, so this is kind of I guess, would be the argument against the Paleolithic reasoning around dietary requirements. And so, that's something that I just accepted. And, it's actually not true. A lot of our ancestral, connected animals in our lineage, like chimps, are not actually fully vegetarian. They do include some animal products in their diet. Even we can observe that in nature today. It's not a huge number, but 3 to 5% of their diet actually comes from the consumption of other animals. So it's actually not true that in our evolutionary history there's no evidence of consuming animals. If you actually dig into kind of sticking with evolution, there's actually some pretty convincing evidence now to show that our conversion, or our evolution from pre-human species to the species that we are now, the Homo sapiens, actually a big influence on the changes that occurred came from the consumption of animal products. As we can see from the Paleolithic evidence, is that as there's more, there's more evidence of animal bones, the evidence that we were consuming, particularly like organs, so brains and other such components of animals. We also see the slow and steady increase in the human brain size. And this it makes a lot of sense as we consume more high-fat foods. Our brains are, majority made up of fats and cholesterol, and so as we consume more of those foods, it's going to, throughout a long period of time, it actually can help to build up organs, in this case, our brains. And that actually tracks well with the complexity of our lifestyle back in the day. And really what they can show is that there's actually, from an intellectual perspective, that more complex behaviors started to emerge. And they kind of moved hand in hand. So you can imagine how going from being just a gathering type of species, just relying on vegetables and fruits and leaves and plant matter, doesn't require as much kind of intellectual capacity. But as we start to become smarter, we're able to take on actually capturing prey, and that then spurs on more brain development. So they kind of at least the conventional theory nowadays is that they progressed hand in hand. So from an evolutionary perspective, I think there's good evidence to show that animal consumption is just part of the human diet, and it's part of our history. Another part of that is that there are certain nutrient requirements. This was a big one for me in my transition, was that understanding that there's some pretty key nutrient requirements that are essential for your body to function at its best. And you can only source those nutrients from animals. A good example of that is omega-3 fatty acids, which you hear a lot about. The only form that is really readily available for human consumption is the animal form. We're really not that capable of converting the plant form into a usable molecules in the human body. So we actually need to be consuming animal products to be able to get sufficient quantity of omega-3 fatty acids. So that would be one example. Vitamin B12 is another one, essential for your body to function properly. We can only source it from animal products. There are certain amino acids that are really difficult to, that's like proteins, the building blocks of proteins, that are really difficult to source in adequate quantities from plant products. So there's actually some really convincing evidence from a nutritional requirement perspective to support that animals actually, if your goal is to be healthy, then consumption of animal protein and fats is essential. And I think I'll just go through one other thing, just so I don't want to keep you too long. I do have a blog post written on this topic, and so you can follow the link in the discussion up in the box above. Just follow that link, and you can read my whole story and some of the other myths that I uncovered, some of the false beliefs that I held. The other big one was simply on the benefits of consuming animal protein and animal fats. I definitely, a myth that I bought into was that, protein actually isn't that important. This is kind of a narrative that, at least in the vegetarian circles that I ran in, there's this kind of dismissal that like, protein, how much protein do you actually need? It's not nearly as much as what, your doctor will tell you. And you can survive based on just plant-based proteins. Now, while this is true, I think the key difference here is that, yes, you can survive, and we can. That's because the human body is so good at adapting. But there's a big difference between surviving and thriving. And I don't know about you, but my goal is not to just survive. I want to thrive. And in our modern day society, there's no reason why we shouldn't be thriving, right? We have all manner of technological advances. We have all manner of, support systems, protection from the environment. And so I want to be doing the things that are going to allow my body to thrive. And when it comes to nutrient quality, there's just no question that the highest quality source of nutrients comes from animal products, from meat, and in particular, organ meats would be of the highest priority. And then the animal fats, because in a healthy animal, that's where a lot of the micronutrients are stored, is in the fat. So there's really, I think, several different arguments that we can follow that support the inclusion of animal products, animal fat and protein into the diet if you want to thrive, if you want to be extraordinarily healthy. In that blog post I mentioned, I go through a few different arguments that support that claim, and I think this month what I'm going to do, at least for a couple of shows, is I'm going to go through some of the biggest myths that we're exposed to that are really just kind of still part of the conventional thought. Let's say like fat is bad for you, animal protein causes cancer. That cholesterol is the root of heart disease. I'm going to touch on some of these myths because I think it's really important that we start to dispel, because they are myths. Okay, and I will support that. So we'll go through a few different shows. If there's any other myths or potentially maybe some other questions, things that you've heard in the popular media, and you're just questioning, like, is that true or not? Put it below, put it in the comment section, and I'd love to address that. If I don't know the answer, of course, I'll do the research to get to the bottom of it. All right. So that's my abbreviated story on why I chose to migrate to an Eat by Design methodology that includes eating animal products. I think the conclusion, though, that I found is that as a vegetarian, I learned a lot of great things about, I became very comfortable, growing up in an environment where I ate tons of vegetables. And I really value that. I'm so grateful that my parents taught me that super important aspect of health. And my observation is that there's very little difference between like a good quality, healthy vegetarian diet and a good quality, healthy, I would say, Eat by Design diet. Really, it's just the inclusion or absence of animal products. Now, that's a big difference, but I think there's way more similarities than differences. And I like to kind of keep focused on that versus falling prey to the getting caught up in arguments and things like that. So if you have any other questions, if you are a vegetarian yourself and you actually want to question some of the statements I've made, just put it in the comments. I'd love to have a discussion, keep it going. And I will see you all next week when we'll start diving into some of the myths around nutrition and diet. All right, take care.